welcome Donat Retif.
Thank you, Tone. So, Yes. Okay, we got an hour of an hour together. So if you're still in any way, is it okay? I'm actually showed up this morning for heard here everywhere that the crisis has impacted a lot. To see 10 or 15 people today, so I had a good sign for the industry. And the second league game, and for the ones of you, I think it's just a miracle that you're awake at 10 o'clock. So thank you for being here, and for the first. About actually the fact that I'm industry, and I think that most of the directory publisher is that over the last 12 of the time we didn't have many people, mainly banks, so forth, which makes the interact what it could be today. So it will be useful to you. I'm going to talk about Trouvo for 5 or 10 minutes, otherwise my comments might be a little bit more on the stage. Some of you might perceive as blunt, or view of the industry. Okay? Let's start. As you can see, the title is our transition from directory. When I became CEO, timing is everything, isn't it? As me, I'm CEO of a Yellow Pages company, and I know Yellow Pages. I want to be the CEO of a local to denigrate anything about Yellow Pages. I think that Yellow Pages won't be changes that we have. So as I mentioned, I'll give you who still don't know Trouvo, but of course, if you're on this, I'll give you a bit of context and to you our view of very interesting feedback from our very thorough sort of different countries. And our HC are not that different from geography to geography. And finally, what it means for us. Trouvo operates in Belgium, Romania, and we have 2 minorities in beautiful South Africa. And by South Africa, so please feel free to get lots of interesting experiences to share. We have operations in Belgium and Ireland. Portugal, we have a joint venture with Portugal Telecom. A few KPIs on the left-hand side. You can read some interesting one. 80,000 online and 50,000 advertisers and advertisers buying performance-based products. Now I'm back more and more about the fact that I believe that we need very, very fast from a paid-for-inclusive payment system. And you can see the revolution on the right-hand side. So here I'm a little bit more on the edge than all the about Yale, but if I compare with Yale, a few things that are a little bit different in Trouvo. The metropolitan markets, the importance of your big cities, and we all know that some of the trends that we of the media to new media has been more dramatic. So in Romania, Bucharest represents 40%, Belgium, Brussels and Antwerp represent 40%, in Ireland, Dublin represents 55%, and in Poland represent over 70%. Once something happens in one of those metropolitan cities, it can be sure impacted, because we can't compensate in. Okay? On the right-hand side, and anybody who surveyed this industry over the last 2 years will recognize there's a difference in behavior between the large advertisers and we are quite impacted by large advertisers. Like in small countries, big impact of advertisers. So when some of the big advertisers, instead of like cars, banks, add interim management, and so we need to make sure that we move away quite from that trend. I didn't put Romania on the right. Contract in Romania is 250 euros. That does not play into that game. The context is that I think we're facing 2 challenges. One is the sick one, which everybody is facing today, and we're not the only company, not the only media company facing ourselves too much. But I do believe that we have a structural challenge. I do think it's a mistake to just think that after the crisis things come back, or users will come back, that usage will come back again. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think we need to use the opportunity to tackle the strength. The first structural, in my view, yellow online will not offset the print. I've shown you, and this is show you revenue, but I also mean in usage. So you can see the revenue. This is total group print sales. I'm sure that you will all slight decline, and we have invested a lot in and make sure that print would be more or less stable. And then 2008 acceleration of the print decline, and 2009 are going to be better. And you can look, sure, very, very few exceptions like Canada and Australia. Once the print decline is still faster. And if you don't believe me, just what happens. And just look at what happened in the last 8 quarters. And look at the duration of the decline. In the middle, you can see the online growth. Online growth, 20s. Through online growth. You can see on the total, in the total it's not enough. Because in 2008, we've lost 6% of revenue. The share of online revenue is growing but not enough in my opinion. And I really plan to do within to make sure that this share grows as fast as possible. The second challenge that we have structurally is that RI is becoming increasingly important. I remember, so I used to work in the US. In Kenya, we had 5 directory publishers, so there was lots of competition. And pretty much every advertiser had a key ad. You couldn't without a key ad, without a measured ad, without being able to perform. When I came back in Belgium in 2005, there's not one key dat in any of our online sites or anywhere in any of our, but this need is increasing. In the survey made, to 85% of our advertisers are telling us the most important thing that you guys don't do very well is ROI. We want proof of ROI. Make and open, that's what they say, or percent. When we ask them, what do you do to measure? A little bit more in detail, we realize that only 15% really measure accurately ROI. 85% it's critically important, only 10 to 15% accurately. The perception gap that we have to manage. So I already mentioned large and small accounts behave very differently. In these countries of Truvo, that the major losses we take are advertisers, actually or SME, some others are quite flat. So even in a crisis where you get negative 20, negative 25, whatever, or SME, some are actually quite well. But the large advertisers. Third one is that the concept of yellow page, one size fits all, I think is overdue. There are clearly significant variation in user needs and revenue across categories. Everybody knows travel agencies. We still going to look for a travel agency and book his trip, right? 5 years ago, it was one of the top 5 ratings in the year. So it goes fast. So we just need to be cautious. And the last is an obvious one, but sometimes we tend, because a little bit too much at our tummy, is that the import search continues to grow, and we need to be able to play with it. Now, of course, there's the crisis. The crisis is not helpful. The SMEs have less money, have lots of liquid issues those days, as I'm sure it is the case in your market, and so they're more critical of how to spend them. So, of course, the two effects together is a bit... Print is more heavily impacted than online, and it's mainly to perception, but the perception is there mainly in print in our metropolitan cities. And like I said before, even though this sounds, we remember that we're not the only ones. I'm sure of eBay last year, they announced a loss of 18%. Yahoo announced a loss as well, and even Google first time announced a loss, a very small one, but the revenue over a quarter. So we're not the only one, but as the orange frame says, we think we need to get prepared and very, very quickly to face the structural challenge, so that once the economic crisis is over, is it going to be fourth quarter of 2009, first or second quarter? No, but we want to make sure within Truvo that we're ready to tackle those structural challenges. We've done, as I said, analysis for the last few weeks. This is very fresh, by the way. I'll talk with you everything, but I thought I would share with you lessons that we've seen, and then hopefully we'll be able to see if it compares with what you guys see in your practice. So, the user is a lot because for the first time within Truvo, users have the importance, even just on the slide, as advertisers. And it's not something that's typical from directory publisher, right? Been very, very good over the last 40 years at maximizing users. I think we've been very, very weak. Anyway, I can talk to fun users. So, better for you on that side. In our countries, what is clear is search engines are the first choice. Even for local products and so, what's your first choice? It's a search engine. It's a fact of life. We can dance and say that Yellow Pages says better content, more content, whatever, is just not going to happen. It's the first. Users are spoiled for choice. The case of Hugo, which was the greatness of the LG, they want simple and fast solution. We'll come back to in one slide. The technology of names. Very important that users are searching. So we need to make to as many places as we can. With the exception of Romania, you appreciate a lot UGC. UGC means user-generated content. So there's really a huge, of course in the US it has been, alive for a few years, but in our countries we've seen over the last 12 months a huge increase in, the ratings and reviews and all this type of stuff. On the right-hand side, of course, if users have more choice, advertisers have increasing choice as well.